Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread! Cornbread! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, what is going on, everybody? You know what it is. This is the Detroit Koolaid Cast. I'm your host, Derek Oakrey, talking Detroit Lions football twice a week on this show. I also have another show. It's called Believe in Lions, and that's spelled BLEAV on the Believe Podcasting Network with myself, Jack Kavanaugh. We now have added to the team Mr. Jerry Ball, former Lions legend, big boy in the middle. He just came on last week. He's going to be coming on each week to talk Lions ball. Lots of great insights there. So if you haven't, and I don't know why you haven't, but you need to, go check out that show. Hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I'm here today. I'm going to start off the show solo. I got some hot topics I want to talk about. We're going to have Logan Lamorandier on to kind of review this Green Bay game. Should be a good show here. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is what everybody wants to talk about here in Detroit and that are Lions fans. Why is Derek Barnes not playing? I mean, this guy balled out in the preseason. He's a physical specimen. You spent early fourth round pick, 113 overall. You moved up to get this guy, and you're sitting there and you're just letting him sit on the sidelines. I mean, did not play a defensive snap. You really think that Anzalone and my personal whipping boy here on the show, Jamie Collins, Ocho, linebacker, guy that got getting paid $10+ million to loaf around on defense, you can tell he doesn't care, doesn't love football. There's just nothing he does well other than every once in a while he fills a gap or shoots a gap and gets after a quarterback, or he tries to get his hands on the football, but most of the time he's just cruising at a comfortable speed behind running backs, wide receivers, tight ends all over the football field. Get him off the field. Get Derek Barnes out there. Yeah, Anzalone's a try-hard guy. He's also a captain on this team right now, so pair him up with Anzalone. Let them get out there. Let Derek Barnes be the run and hit hammer. Let Anzalone be the guy that makes the calls and just kind of snuffs out the run game. I think he had 10+ tackles this past game. So Derek Barnes cannot just be sitting there behind the head coach. I kept seeing, Dan freaking Campbell on the sideline. I'm like, what? Why is 55 just standing there behind you? I mean, especially the game gets out of control in the second half. You're not saying, hey, Barnes, go out there and hit someone, or when we tell you to blitz, go kill that smug, arrogant, pompous, aloof, kooky, horrible haircut, just jabron named Aaron Rodgers. Like, go just decapitate him. I mean, this guy's got to play. I mean, let's just go down the list, too. Big Denim, Levi Onwuzurike. I mean, he finally got out there and played football, but I didn't notice him. You took him in the high second round. I have high hopes for the guy, and it's only been 2 games, but this is a young football team. This is a team that you're letting your young guys get out there. We need to see things from these guys. Now, his running mate, Aleem McNeil, which he took early in the 3rd round, I mean, this guy, he hasn't blown up any quarterbacks or done anything outstanding, but I'm here to tell you, there is something about Aleem. I've said it here before. You probably think I'm a broken record, but he's a specimen in the uniform for a big guy. Every time they show him on screen, I'm like, that dude's 21. He just looks massive when it comes to his thighs and just how thick he is as a player, and he's athletic. We already know his history. We know that he can dance and make plays. Now, is he ever going to be an Aaron Donald penetrator? No. Is he ever going to be a big-time sack guy? No. But I think when this guy gets, 1 or 2 years in NFL weight room, as well as learns his technique, I think he's going to be a big time problem in the middle. I mean, just when he wears the uniform, like that is a interior defensive lineman that I want on my team. So I love me some Aleem McNeil. Now, those guys are out there, but they're not doing anything yet. St. Brown at wide receiver, he's out there, but they're not featuring him. He's not getting like those little underneath routes we were hoping for. He's been open a few times on some really nice yak routes. They haven't got it to him. I mean, Julian Okwara is either not suited up, or when he is, he's getting 4 snaps. It's just, I know these coaches see these guys in practice all day, every day. I know they have a pulse for the team and are trying to put together the best, 53 or whatever it is on game day now, where it's like, hey, well, these are the guys that give us the best chance to win. But I think I speak for all Lions fans when we want to see Levi, Aleem, Okwara, Derek Barnes. We want to see guys like Austin Bryant. I mean, this guy played well in the preseason, and you just have him sitting over there either out of the game or inactive or not playing. I mean, he's wearing the swaggy number 2. You got it. I mean, he was good in 94. What do you think he's going to do wearing number 2 as a 300-pound big boy? I mean, let him come off the edge. Let him run and hit people and see what he's got. I mean, maybe these guys will prove that they can't play, but maybe they'll show you, hey, you're trying to baby me, you're trying to bring me along slow, you're trying to protect me. Let me go out there and play and make some mistakes and feel out the game. The team will be better for it. I mean, we threw Ife Melifanu out there, and he looked good. He looked better than average. He looked like a quality player for the limited amount of time we got to see him. Now he's hurt and out for a while. Tell me if that rings a bell. How many freaking injuries is this team going to get where it's week 3, our starting corners out, some of our big boys up front can't play, we got another corner that's out, the other corners we have are undrafted. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, there's going to come a day where the Lions get these draft picks in the bank here that are coming up, and actually Brad Holmes gets after, which, again, I need to take a little side tangent. Brad Holmes, hello, are you there, Brad Holmes? My guy. Like, I killed Bob Quinn sometimes for like thinking he was a magician at the bottom of the roster, thinking you can't go a week without changing 8 guys on the practice squad or the bottom of the roster. Brad Holmes hasn't done anything. He's got all these injuries. Wait, you're just gonna like let the team roll? I mean, I know you brought in Daryl Worley. I know you, Ballantyne came in, but until I see them out there making plays, those are ho-hum moves to me. I'm thinking you might want to have a little sense of urgency. Now, am I saying go make a big trade that's just going to help you right now? No. But I think you can't roll out guys from the bowling alley to play corner and linebacker and safety for you. You're not going to have a good defense at that point. So I want to see young cats play. I want to see progression. I want to see exciting football. I want to see when we do have a rash of injuries that we either have guys in the pipeline or that we're willing to go do what we have to do to find someone that can be better than what we're putting out there right now. Again, AO, I mean, I got a big bone to pick with you. I'm not even going to play the sound bite because you don't deserve it. AO has been getting roasted. I haven't seen him make any plays. He doesn't look like he wants to tackle anybody. Like, I'm trying to rep the 24 jersey here at these games, the white crispy, and you're not doing it just at Tufo. I mean, AO needs to get going, needs to play a lot better. I mean, if you're not going to tackle, then give me an interception. If you're not going to give me an interception and you're not going to tackle, you better be sticky in coverage, man, and be able to make plays. I don't care who else is out there. And you would think he's playing the number 1 now. I mean, he'd have to be the number 1 corner, and who knows who's playing at these other spots. A bunch of undrafted underdog type guys, if you ask me. So I don't know. I feel they just need to let some of these guys loose. I mean, Jamar Jefferson. I mean, Brad Holmes took this guy in the 7th round when he was quoted, or not quoted, but my impression of it was, man, I'm taking a kid from Oregon State. What you mean, man? Like, then, hey, Brad Holmes, I'm not going to knock on your door like I just did, but how about this? How about you put in the kid from Oregon State, man? How about you put him in? Let him see what he got. I mean, you sounded excited when you took him in the 7th round. This kid can't get on the field. I mean, we're trying to play big boy ball with Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow and Jonah Jackson, and even Hal Vaitai made a couple blocks that I was like, ooh wee. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't really do that justice. Let me do that better. I mean, Hal Vaitai did a couple things that made me say this. I mean, he knocked a couple people off the club, blew a couple people off the ball, made a couple nice angle blocks that really were exciting. Like, we're trying to bully people. So let me get Jay Swaggy as my pounded back, get him more touches. Let me get Jamar in there and get him some touches. And let DeAndre Swift play. Yeah, babying this guy too. Oh, we can only use him every 3rd drive. Oh, we gotta alternate him. Oh, we'll every blue moon get him out on a pass route. Did you see him late against the mozzarella sticks? I mean, the guy was jumping over people. You were throwing little 2-yard routes. He was getting 15 yards. You know, you run the ball to him. He gets about 8 yards a crack most times, it feels like. Can we please use the guy properly so it's not another high pick that we just don't use well? He has a few injuries, and next thing you know, his contract's up and he balls out for some other team. He's a premier talent. DeAndre Swift's a premier talent. He's not being used enough. I would literally use him on anywhere from 5 to 7 pass routes designed per game. I would put him in the slot. I would run him out of the backfield. I'd run him on angles, on crosses, on outs, on option routes, on linebackers. I would even run him up the seam and try to throw it to him, and he can just house call it. And don't even get me started on bubble screens or that little slip screen that he scored on in week 1. I would dial that up at least 2 times a game minimum. You know, like they used to do for Theo and company. When you have a dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield, you use him like that. You don't run him up the middle 5 times and maybe throw it to him once. Like, it's just ridiculous. So I'm on board with Dan Campbell. I love the moxie that Aaron Glenn has. I like the positivity that Mark Brunell has. I love Deuce Staley, everything he does and says. I mean, Anthony Lynn, every time he steps to the podium, I'm like, man, we got a head coach as our OC. Like, I like this guy. But you can't always make it so hard on these young guys to be like, I need to see this, that, and the other. Sometimes you just need to let people play and see what they have. Let them prove to you that they don't deserve to be on the field when it really counts. Or, how about this? Hold on. Let me get the sound bite. This is the Koolaid Cast.
Drink it in, man.
How about you drink this in, coaching staff? Put them out there in big games until they prove they shouldn't be out there, and then pull them off. You know, so I think it's just, we're only in week 2. We're heading into week 3 against, the Ravens, but gosh, I just think they could unleash some of these young guys more. I feel like this is a young team. Jared Goff, between him and Hawkinson, and if they get Tyrell back, they can be functional on offense, especially if they not only feature Swift, but they pound teams. Like, don't even throw it a ton. Just early in the game, just run it until they tell you they can stop it, you know? And then when they show you they can stop it, run it a little bit more and throw it off play action. The minute you get running downhill, then Jared Goff can throw that play action and he's been doing good in those areas. Like, I love Jared Goff in play action. I love some of the things I've seen. But young guys, we just got to get it together. What are the Detroit Lions? To me right now, you know, people aren't going to like this, but for 2 games, Jared Goff's a bit above average game manager, in my opinion. If you're ahead of the sticks, if you give him good plays and he's protected, he's more than adequate. The minute you get behind the chains or ask him to throw an 18-yard, scissor route to the outside and put it on a dime is when it gets a little dicey. You know, we run it early on people and then the game gets out of control and now we're just throwing it to guys like Khalif Raymond. And, gosh, who knows? I heard somebody say Quintez Cephas is number 2 and he meant in the league. And I was like, I said after game 1, Q needs to be like the WR2 for the Lions. But this is not a number 2 in the National Football League. Quintez Cephas would be like a number 5 on most teams. So I like the player, and I think he can get opportunity to see what he has, but don't pencil this guy in as some dynamic, 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown type wide receiver. That's not who he is. So if I need to give you a little Kool-Aid before we get Logan in here on this interview, it'd be this. We're 2 games in. We didn't expect to beat San Francisco or win in Green Bay on Monday Night Football between the referees and the smug number 12 and all the other foolishness that happened in that game. It is what it is. You got Baltimore coming up and Chicago, Then you get into like that part of the schedule that I'm most curious about. What can you do against some of these non-elite teams? Because we know the Lions are not elite right now. Now, am I excited about them? Do I think some of these young players are going to come on? Do I think that, by week 10, this team's going to feel and look a lot different and feel better than it does in week 2? Yeah. But we know we're not elite. We're not Super Bowl quality. We're probably not even, near playoffs at this point. Playoffs? Gosh, I've got him somewhere, but do you want to sum up how we looked in that second half against Green Bay?
That's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. It sucked. It stunk.
The first half was not pitiful. We played great. We had a lot of promise. We were like, man, we're about to beat Green Bay in their house on Monday Night Football. But then the second half happened.
That was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
That does suck, Jim Moore, because Jared Goff couldn't get a snap, threw it to the other team on a horrible decision, and fumbled just by himself, a self-fumble. It's about as bad as an own goal in soccer, which, again, is a horrible sport as well. Kicking it into your own net is what he did, basically, by just dropping the ball out of his own hands and not being able to pick it up. So, disgraceful there in the second half, but let the young guys play. Come up with a game plan, which is take the air out of the football or find some creative ways to score points against the Baltimore Ravens. See if you can keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, and maybe you have a chance. So we'll see what happens. Play the young guys, Dan freaking Campbell, please. Again, I know you're a little bit, a little bit ornery, like you've had enough of this. You don't want to see SOL, neither do I. But, I'm a little bit sick too, Dan Campbell, not seeing these guys we drafted.
You've had enough of that.
I've had enough, Dan Campbell. Let's play Derek Barnes.
You've had enough of that.
Don't get me hot, Dan Campbell. Play Derek Barnes.
You've had enough of that.
Yeah, I have, Dan. So put him out there because I think Dan Campbell can do what you want to do. I think Derek Barnes can do what you want to do, Dan Campbell. We all know what that is.
We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to smile at you. We're going to take your other kneecap. We're going to smile at you. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. We're going to be the last one standing. All right? That's going to be the mentality.
And I'm with that mentality, and I'm excited about it still. But it's not happened here early, and we hope that you will get to that point because everybody wants to see it. And we are sick and tired of this bleep and all this losing here in Detroit.
You've had enough of that.
We have. So let's get it fixed, Dan freaking Campbell and company. Now, everybody, we're going to take a quick pause for our commercial break. And we come back, we're going to talk to Logan Lamorandier from Sports Illustrated All Lions, talking all about this Packer game and so much more. Everybody, we'll be right back.
A Max, seu streaming queridinho, veio aqui no seu podcast para saber. Você curte reality aventureiro ou prefere um conteúdo mais emocionante? Seja lá qual for seu preferido, tem na Max. Os realities que você ama, como Quilos Mortais, agora em versão 100% brasileira. E tem novidade, Sobrevivência Extrema vai ser o seu novo vício pra maratonar. Tem Largados e Pelados, Masterchef, Operação Fronteira e muito mais conteúdo brazuca pra ver. Vida real pra todos os gostos é na Max.
All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, we're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You could put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? I mean, come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now.
Quando você ouve um podcast, está procurando entretenimento ou conhecimento, certo? E se você procura por desempenho e qualidade para o seu veículo, qual a sua escolha? Os amortecedores Motorcraft têm tecnologia Ford e oferecem uma condução suave para uma viagem tranquila e segura. Escolha a confiabilidade dos amortecedores Motorcraft, válidos para a linha K, Fiesta, EcoSport e muito mais. Quando terminar seu podcast, é só acessar a loja da Ford no Mercado Livre e experimentar a diferença.
All right, Detroit Koolaid drinkers, the man of the hour. I told you he was going to be here. Logan Lamorandier from Sports Illustrated All Lines back on the show. He's crazy busy. Gave us a little bit of his time. We're going to talk about this Green Bay game with him. Logan, how you doing this week?
Doing good. Football's back, and I think since the last time we talked, it was still preseason or even before preseason maybe. So it's good to be back.
I appreciate you coming on, man. It has been a while now. We got limited time with you today, so we just want to get right into this, man. This Green Bay Packer game that just went down on Monday Night Football. I mean, we're going to talk about the broad strokes, kind of some of the things that happened, maybe some calls, some plays that we noticed, but I just want to start off again. This is Detroit Koolaid Cast. I want to be a little bit positive. I absolutely love this first half of football by the Detroit Lions. I was proud of how they played. I thought the offense looked good. Are you with me on that? They really seem to be playing a level ball game and feeling good at halftime here.
Yeah, it definitely was. And they really played to their strengths in the first half. And you saw the offensive line and the run game. And you even saw a few explosive plays or, big plays out of Quintez Cephas, which was nice to see, and a good throw and catch there. But you have to be encouraged by the offensive line. And, when the Lions are actually in more of a neutral game script where they're not down by a bunch of points, I think they can really probably be a real nuisance to a lot of teams just because they can run the ball so well. And they definitely have the first couple of weeks. And that's just something that teams struggle to defend against because it's what wins you games is be able to run the ball when you need to and really take out the clock. And it's a great defense as well when you can run the ball because you keep the opponent's offense off the field.
Some nice Detroit Kool-Aid from Logan there off the top.
Drink it in, man.
The one thing I loved, man, is how they took the football, which I'm a proponent of not taking it and trying to get that double dip after the half. But when they took it and you go down and score, it does feel pretty. Really nice drive to start the ball game. And Logan, the throw from Jared Goff to TJ Hockenson. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. I mean, it was a perfect throw, a perfect catch. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, there wasn't anything bad about the throw or catch. I mean, that throw was just absolutely right where it needed to be. Perfect touch on it, just dropped it out into the extended arms of TJ Hockenson. And it was a nice hands grab by him too. And not the easiest catch in the world, but he made it look easy. So that was just a beautiful pass and catch. And, one of the better throws you'll probably see Goff make all season, I'd imagine, is because it's just tough to top that.
Exactly. I like that a lot. Now, the thing we'll get into some things we didn't like here. Again, we're going to try to talk about where this team is at more so than some of these negatives. But I was just frustrated again that you knew from early on in this ball game that it was going to be hard to stop anybody on defense. I don't know what it is. They still can't cover. Linebackers, my guy AO is just nowhere in the picture most times when people are making catches on him. Like, when I predicted this game on this show and then my other show, BLEAV, Believe in Lions, on the Believe Podcasting Network, I was like, this game might be like 38-35. Lions going to have to outscore. And it sounds like Dan Campbell thought the same as well. I thought this was going to be back and forth what happened in the first four drives there where it was just score, back to back. What's going on with the defense, man?
You hoped that it was just poor scheme last year, which it was. But then, I mean, honestly, the Lions lost quite a few veterans, and it's not like these veterans last year were, great or anything good. But right now, the Lions have a very young defense, so many young players with a couple of veterans mixed in. But it's at the point right now where, the secondary is pretty beaten up, more so at corner. But you just look at the guys that they have out there, and there's a lot of newbies, and there's guys like Anzalone, who have always kind of been just a mediocre player, and you put him in a team that the surroundings that is just not conducive to being an easy situation for him, and he struggles. And he still had a lot of tackles, but overall, the linebacker play in general, him and Jamie Collins have just not been great. And you have to give some credit to the Packers because the Lions were basically, playing too deep a lot of the game, just forcing the Packers to keep everything underneath and, be methodical and not try to be overly aggressive. And Aaron Rodgers did just that. And then when the Lions went away from those two deep looks, that's when Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams just do what they're so good at doing. So it's just, I did think the defensive line was going to be a little bit better than they've shown so far. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. But they gotta, especially the young guys, Ali McNeil, I've been impressed with him, but Levi Onwuzurike, who just, didn't play all that much against Green Bay and was out week one. He's got to step up as well. And Michael Brockers, outside of that sack, he's been okay, but then it's just a lot of things on defense. There's really nothing that stands out in defense that's like, oh, this is a good unit or a good position group. It's just a struggle all around, and it's a passing league. And when you have the secondary that they have out there on the field right now, it's going to be tough to stop people, especially with passing attacks like Aaron Rodgers and, some of those elite quarterbacks.
A couple quick follow-ups for you. Have you finally come around on Jamie Collins? I've been trying to tell you every time you come on the show, the guy's lazy. He loafs around. He's always running behind receivers and running backs as they catch and running for touchdowns. I mean, exhibit A, B, and C pretty much in this ball game for number 8 at linebacker. Like, have you given up on this guy, please? You come on, you defend him every time you're on the show.
I defend him because I don't say he's trash, but he's getting to the point where it's not looking great. And I don't know if age has caught up with him a little bit, but he doesn't necessarily look very fast anymore. And maybe his loafing, or maybe he's just slow, but I feel like Anzalone has been worse than Jamie Collins, but I don't know if the coaching staff feels the same way about that. And it's kind of splitting hairs. Neither of them have been great. And I'm totally all for the Derek Barnes train, move it along and getting some playing time from one of these veterans.
Yes, let's get Derek Barnes out there. Now, another one real quick. I'm really starting to lose faith in my guy Tracy Walker and Will Harris. I've fought for him many a times on this show, my other show, anytime I'm talking about the Lions, and they are just never in position, poor tackling. I mean, Tracy Walker would have had a nice sacks. He's in the backfield maybe once or twice a game. The rest of the time, I always see him just in the area or making cleanup plays, and I've just seen enough of these safeties as well. And I'm going to piggyback on that. Why are we always hurt? We always have so many injuries. It's week 2. Like, we got corners dropping like flies. We got, guys up front that can't play. We got our back end is thin. I mean, this just drives me nuts every year that we are the most beat up team in the league. It always feels like it's crazy.
Well, I will say, I think Baltimore has us beat right now, but yes, it does feel like, especially Okudah, that injury was just horrible for both him and the Lions because they really need to see what he had in a new defensive scheme and maybe with a little bit of pressure and not dealing with his core muscle injury that he had his rookie year. But it's as far as the safeties go, Will Harris has never particularly looked good. Even at the college level, I don't think he was overly instinctive. And I think of all the positions, if you're going to be a safety, you have to be instinctive in order to make plays on the ball and just to kind of read the quarterback. And understand what's the quarterback's trying to do and, the route combinations. And I just don't see that with him. And to make matters worse, his tackling is not anything better either. He just, every time he tries to tackle someone, it's always, I feel like he's jumping at someone's shoulder pads or like just arm tackles. And I think it comes down to probably poor angles. And again, that's like an instinctive type of thing. So it's just, he has the athletic ability, he has the size, but it's just never, I think he's more of an athlete than anything. So that's something that the Lions, I'm surprised they didn't do it this year. They need to upgrade that safety position pretty badly next year. And Tracy Walker, I agree with you. Last year, I thought was going to be his breakout year. He struggled. And this year he's been better. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't really made too many plays either, like you'd want. And in your safety. So between those two guys, it's been a struggle.
Oh man, I was trying to keep it Kool-Aid, but you can tell I'm a little bit frustrated. let me just ask you. So that they finished out the half where they kind of did what I think was right. They just sort of didn't want to give the ball back to that smug number 12. They were like, hey, we're gonna just try to get it down the field, and they had a nice couple plays there where you're almost thinking touchdown. But I remember saying to myself, hey, I'm totally cool with a field goal here with no time left. That was kind of what I was hoping for, and anything else I got was a bonus. Did you think they slow played it too much, or do you think that was kind of the right way to go, is just realize that we can't get the ball back and we want to get something, and 3 is fine at this point to go 17-14 at the half?
Nope, I was completely fine with that. I wanted no time left for Aaron Rodgers. So I was more than happy with just milking the clock, and it's either you get a field goal or nothing. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need, any amount of time to get into field goal range or to throw a Hail Mary or anything like that. We don't need any of that. And overall, I've been very happy with just the coaching staff. I don't think they've had any blunders or anything that I've disagreed with. I think they've done a good job. And I totally agree with that first half, kind of the just running out the clock at the end of the first half. I liked it, and I'm glad they did that, because you never know with Aaron Rodgers getting the ball back what they're going to score. And I thought you had to play conservative there.
Yeah, a lot of people were grumbling, they let 20 seconds go off and this, that, and the other. To me, it felt like the end of a half type of play. You're trying to figure out, do we step on the gas or do we slow play it? And they kind of got caught in the middle, so they ended up taking a shot or two, at least one shot to see if it's there, and then just kicked it and said, hey, we're more than happy to go in the locker room 17-14. So, Logan, before we finish out the second half, I know you've been I've seen you on a couple, getting back in the radio spots, coming on a couple things here or there. So go ahead and throw a couple of the things out that you're up to these days.
Oh yeah, still doing the whole writing thing and the Twitter thing. It's nice to have some new stats out there. I'm not regurgitating all the same stats from the last year, like I pretty much had to during the summer. And now that Stafford's gone and Galladay's gone, it's like I just had nothing to work with. So it's great having some new material. But yeah, the Huge Show, X's and Bros, 2 radio spots, and typically on at least once a week. X's and Bros Wednesday mornings, and then the Huge Show is whenever I can jump on in the afternoon.
Nice. And Sports Illustrated All Lions, they'll put on some articles there as well, right?
That's right. Yep.
All right. Well, everybody check it out, no doubt about it. So, Logan, we'll quickly get to this second half and get you out of here, because to me, I was so fired up going in the second half. I'm like, man, our offense is clicking. Our D can't stop anybody, but this will be fun. It should come down, as I said on Twitter, at Derek Oakley. I was like, hey, you come out, maybe get a stop in the first couple drives, and then find yourself a turnover or 2 would be tremendous, and see if you can win this late in the game. But before I knew it, this game was over. Let's look at a couple quick plays. The one that jumps out to me, it's not even a scoring play, but this really is what did it. I think it was like 3rd and 12, deep in their end. We maybe had just come off a sack from Michael Brockers, and we had him pinned again. Aaron Rodgers, the pocket was collapsing, starting to get a little bit of pressure, and he unleashed one down the right sideline. You couldn't have dropped this ball in the hands of Devontae Adams any better. 50-plus yards down the field. I don't know how NFL quarterbacks do that. I'm not going to give the smug, arrogant, pompous, aloof number 12 any credit, but to me, this kind of turned the tide right here, because big play, first one of the game, had him, let him get loose, and then it was off to the races from there.
Yeah, it seems like that was happening quite a bit. Whenever the Lions defense had an opportunity to get off the field, it's something happened. And that pass play, it's like I wasn't even upset at the defense so much. Although I did think it maybe was a little interesting call, considering the Lions been running pretty much, two high safeties the entire game. And then that time when it was a 3rd and long, you got Melifanu on Devontae Adams just one-on-one. And it was actually good coverage. And I wasn't even really mad about the coverage at all. I was more so mad that Aaron Rodgers could make that throw, because it was just the absolutely perfect throw 50 yards down the field. And I just had to shake my head. I'm like, I can't wait until Aaron Rodgers is out of this division.
Oh, gosh, he's so frustrated. Like his face, his hair, his look, his throws, everything about him I can't stand. But, I mean, talking about thing I can't stand, the next ball he throws to Bobby Tonyan. I mean, this ball, too, was thrown through a keyhole. Like, we got guys in front, behind. Again, Tracy Walker, about a step and a half late to my liking. But another touchdown, they end up scoring on a throw like that. Aaron Jones just waltzing in the end zone with guys nowhere around him on these short yardage plays. Some of my buddies telling me, oh, it's hard to guard short yardage. We haven't been able to guard short yardage for about 2 decades since I've been watching the Lions. Anything inside the 5, we don't even have anybody that covers a tight end, a running back, nothing, just walking in. Like it was early mid-3rd quarter, and I was in depression mode that we had played so great, and now this game's over already. That's how I felt.
Yeah, it happened quick, especially with the turnovers. But, the Packers just started making plays. And again, that Tonyan touchdown, just another perfect throw. And Anzalone, I know he's been receiving a lot of hate lately, and I haven't been too kind to him either regarding his play, but it wasn't horrible coverage, and it was just a better throw. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it, because, good throws will beat good coverage. So it's just something that you kind of had to deal with. And everything kind of snowballed from there, unfortunately.
A couple rapid fire ones. Did you have an issue with the 4th and 1 throw to Quintez Cephas, or for them going for it in general?
No issue going for it. I think they needed to, but I was a little Jared Goff, that must have been his first read was Cephas, but I just thought it was odd. You're going to run a hitch route, which requires really good timing. On a hitch to the outside is a long throw. The defense is playing man press, so you're not going to have a lot of separation to begin with. And Goff just didn't really look off him and tried to thread the needle in there. It just didn't work out. And then meanwhile, you had a couple of receivers in the middle of the field that beat their man and were open. So I didn't have an issue with going for it whatsoever. I do question if just a standard hitch route was your best option to pass to. So that was the really only thing I was thinking about that play.
Exactly. You hit on everything there. Quick follow-up, a piggyback, if you will. Like, can we please use DeAndre Swift more in the passing game? I mean, that's a perfect time where you could just isolate him on anyone, basically, and throw him a little 2-yard, any route, option, slant, out, any type of route, and it's pretty much going to be good. Or, like you said earlier, we got a big old nasty beast that's 20 years old, number 58. Some other big hogs, Frank Ragnow up front. Let's run it. I know we got stopped a couple times, but I feel like we're running the ball well. So I have an issue with the call or the execution more so than going for it. I feel like going for it's fine. To me, Jared Goff again. I'm starting to get this feeling that like he's very good when he's protected and when people are open and whatever, but I haven't seen any dynamic playmaking. I haven't seen any real accuracy with deep balls, and he's going to have to do that at some point this year to be the above average quarterback that we need him to be. Can't just be a game manager that hits you when you're open, and anytime there's any coverage, he can't put it on you or can't throw it up over the top at all. So I don't know, man. I felt like the fumble, of the snap was horrible by him. It's just inexcusable to let the ball drop just while you're in your windup. That just can't happen. So definitely falls on him, those big turnovers.
Yeah, and that's looking back at the past few years, and even in 2018 when Goff was having that great season, I remember there was a Stafford versus insert QB here debate like every week. But I always said that about Goff, and it showed even more last week, and it's continuing his trend of if he has a clean pocket and guys are getting open, he's going to look good. And a lot of quarterbacks do. But when he's under pressure and is forced to make some really difficult throws, that's when he struggles. And I'm not saying he can never do that, because he showed in the first half that he had a couple of really good throws. But he just isn't that type of player that's going to really carry the team on his shoulders with his passing and make some really difficult throws consistently, especially into tight windows or guys who aren't open. He wants to see the guys coming open typically before he throws it. And that's just something I don't know if he's going to be able to fix at this stage in his career. So if you have a running game and he's protected, I think he can look good. And that's what the Lions need to do. And he's got to limit some of those turnovers that he's always had issues with, even before Detroit. He's had fumbling issues and interceptions at bad times. That's just the standard. That's just what, an average quarterback kind of is. And unfortunately, that's what I think Goff is. And that's what he looks like he is. He's a guy who you'll probably eventually want to replace after a couple of years.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed, some of the things he's done. It's just, I can't have the turnovers, and I don't even need to be a big time, playmaker out of the pocket or guy who's zinging the ball deep down the field. I just need enough to show me that, hey, when we're down a touchdown or two, there's still a chance. Or, hey, if the defense wants to crowd our run game, that you can make them pay. And I haven't necessarily seen that. I'm not unhappy with the guy other than those turnovers, but I just need to see a bit more from number 16 to get us rolling. Now, let's just finish this up with this. I felt like, again, encapsulating this game, that you should be proud of how they started the game. Now, a lot of times the Lions have not shown up and then came back in garbage time, as they did against San Francisco or years with number 9 back there. I felt like if you really want to look at this game, it's much better to play really well in the first half when everybody's trying to get it rolling, and then have some issues back half rather than the opposite way. So, I hate that third quarter. I hate that the score looks the way it does, but, a few plays go a different way. You don't turn the ball over that way. It could be a different story, and that's what I was hoping for. I was just hoping for an exciting game. I felt like I was proud of the Lions that they didn't just, have Aaron Rodgers do anything he wanted, and I just wish it could have been a little bit closer. Hey, maybe you fall by a score at the end, or maybe you even lose by 10, but it happens later in the fourth quarter. That would have made me feel a little bit better, but other than that, you didn't really expect to win these first 2 ball games anyways, so I'm not crying a river. I feel like Dan Campbell and company do need to get it together, though, and kind of, find out what they do well and accentuate that against some of the teams coming up. And I guess what I'm most curious about is how they're going to look against some of the average, below, mid teams of the league, because that's when we'll really know what they have. When you're playing the best of the league, we know they're not there yet talent-wise, so that's where I'm at.
For sure, and you have to have reasonable expectations going into this year. And when you look at the talent, the Lions have some talent. They have some nice pieces, but overall, the talent compared to other teams is just not great. So to me, the Lions even had, I think I tweeted that out. I was entertained for the first 3 quarters. I thought it was very fun to watch. And then that third quarter happened, and I was still entertained, but even though it wasn't going well in the fourth quarter is when it really, fell apart. And it was like, all right, let's do something or get this game over with, one of the two, because you don't want it to go any more south than it was. But the first half, it was a good time, and I liked it. I saw some promise. There was at least certain things to be happy about. And there's the obvious flaws that the Lions are going to have to work on. And you're not going to fill every hole in the first year of a rebuild. And the Lions have time to fix things. But let's just at least see some bright spots. And I definitely saw that from a few players in this game.
I'm with you as well. I saw some bright spots. I don't like the loss because it's against that team and that quarterback, but still things to drink in when it comes to the Detroit Koolaid.
Drink it in, man.
So, Logan, I know you got to run today. How about we do this? We got you in, got your thoughts on Green Bay. I'll give them a little bit in the front end. I'll give them some extra here at the end of the show. And then maybe we can get you back just for a short segment on Friday, because I want to hear what you're thinking about this Ravens game. I think it's another really tough opponent, but lots to talk about heading into that ball game as well. So can you do that?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much, man, for jumping on and talking with us. Always love having you on the show.
For sure, man. Yeah, looking forward to talking Friday.
All right. See you then. All right, everybody. Well, there he was, Logan Lamorandier from Sports Illustrated. Go check him out. All the articles, you'll hear him on the radio, podcast, whatever it may be. You can find him, like you said, just put in Logan L. Lamorandier, Logan, whatever, on Twitter. You'll find him. He's putting out good stuff. He's got a big following. Really fun to talk football with him. So I know I've been a little bit all over the place here on the show. I mean, I think in my intro I was talking about Baltimore, I was talking about this and that. Like, again, this is the Wednesday show. We're trying to recap the Packers. I'm already putting that game behind me. I'm frustrated by it. I still think there's Kool-Aid to drink. Friday I'll be diving more into Baltimore as well as what this team might be moving forward. So I was all over the map in the intro. There's no question. Getting my days confused, getting, teams. Like I said, I was so pumped for the Lions early in that Green Bay game, and then I was like so annoyed by 2 minutes in the third quarter that, yeah, as Bill Belichick would say, I was on to Baltimore at that point. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the segment with Logan as well as, my intro talking about the young guys. Need to get them some more time. And like you say, just dive in a little bit more to the Ravens game. Me and my buddy Chops, aka Brian Nicewanger, will be there if all goes well here this week, trying to rep our Lions and trying to find a way to get a W here in week 3 of the National Football League. So everybody, drink that Detroit Kool-Aid.
Drink it in, man.
And as people asked for on Twitter and on different platforms, they want a cornbread.
Cornbread!
I always make it a double.
Cornbread!
I'll catch you next time right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out.
Pack the bag! Start the plane! This game is over! It is over! What a comeback by the Lions!
Drink it in, man.